Hello everybody, welcome to Yoga Live. My name's Deanna. I'm the director of the Wellness Department at G-Bon in Buffalo, New York, and I'm gonna lead you through a nice, slow flow yoga. So it's super rainy outside, so your joints may be a little bit tight. You may not be in the mood to just get up and get grooving, but we're gonna get started. So we'll really loosen up our joints, lengthen our muscles, and then this way we feel better in the end of the day. So we'll take it a little bit slower than usual. So get a nice yoga mat or a comfortable surface that's soft, that doesn't move around too much. Make sure you have space around you. And if you want, you can play some music in the background. If you like to hear some Zen music that resonates with you, just make sure you still hear my voice, and this way you're in proper alignment, because that's very important, because yoga is supposed to reduce pain, not cause it. So be very, very mindful of your body throughout the duration of practice. So we'll start sitting down. So come to a comfortable seat. You could come into a pretzel style, crossing your legs, or if you want, you could come onto the top of your calves, or bringing your glutes to the top of your heels. And if you want to stretch the back of the arches and you have flat feet like me, you could tuck your toes. So this will be really, really helpful to lengthen that arch. So sitting up tall, start to close your eyes and check in. So what does that mean? Check in with your breath. Notice the sound and the rhythm with each inhale and exhale. Striving to breathe through the nose. Noticing how each part of your body fills up with each inhale. Your chest expanding, your belly getting big. And with each exhale, notice the softening from your belly, your chest, your muscles. And don't try and change anything about your breath, but just notice it. Listen to the rhythm, listen to the sound, notice the rhythm. Now start to do a body scan and check in with your body. From the top of your head, all the way down to your toes. Noticing what parts of your body feel a little bit tense, need a little bit extra love here. And with each inhale, taking all that oxygen and sending it to those places to build more space. And we'll also use that knowledge throughout the duration of practice to invite anything that will help those tight places. Start to make a dedication and an intention for your practice. Dedication or an intention for your practice just gives you an extra value and support for why you're here today. Help you get from point A to point B in all your postures. Whether you want to dedicate this practice to a certain loved one who needs a little bit extra care right now, or something that resonates with you, maybe something you're working on mentally, physically, just being in the present moment. Maybe you're working on your flexibility. Parts of your body need a little bit more flexibility. You know, striving to choose one thing that you can redirect your mind to whenever it starts to wander. Wherever you are in your breath, start to exhale all that oxygen from your body, all that carbon dioxide, let it out. And take the deepest inhale of the day. It's called the cleansing breath. Fill up your chest, fill up your belly, the biggest inhale of the day. Hold at the top, and with a wide open mouth, exhale through the mouth. It can be audible or silent. But just making each inhale and exhale flow with one another, returning to your normal breaths in and out through the nose. Start to flutter your eyes open or promote a soft gaze out in front of you towards the floor. And on an inhale, reach your arms up and over your head, stretching through the fingertips. Look over at your fingertips. Bring your palms together to touch. And on an exhale, bend your elbows and bring your hands to heart center. Inhale, bring your arms all the way up to the sky, overhead. Palms come together to touch. Look at your fingertips. Exhale, bend your elbows. Hands come to heart center. Inhale, reach your arms up and over your head. Palms come together to touch. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Very nice. So release your arms by your side. We'll work into the neck. We tend to be really, really tight in our neck, especially if we sleep wrong, we sleep a little crazy, or sometimes, we strain our neck when we're trying to look at a screen or so, when we're at work or we're texting. So let's bring our right ear to our right shoulder. Extend your left arm, spreading out your fingers. You can roll out the wrists. Feeling the flexion, the left side of your neck, keeping the shoulders down and away from your ears. Bring your eye gaze back to center and reverse sides. Bring your left ear to your left shoulder. Extend your right arm by your side. Go ahead and roll out the wrist. Feel the flexion in the right side of your neck this time. Bring your eye gaze back to center. Bring your chin to your chest. Opening the back side of your neck. Keeping your spine lengthened and long. Inhale your eyes back to center. Now this time bring your chin all the way up to the ceiling, not too much, just enough so you can reverse, do the counter pose. So we want to lengthen the back of our neck and not crunch and dump our heads behind us. So make sure you be mindful and lengthen the back of your neck as you look up. Bring your eye gaze back to center. And if you are on the backs of your heels, you can come back into, actually you could stay on top of your heels, or you can come back to a pretzel, whatever feels good. Just come into a sitting position. Inhale your arms up overhead. We're gonna go into some lateral flexion. Bring your right hand down to the mat. Reach your left arm up and over to the right. You can even come down onto your forearm, but just make sure you're breathing in both areas of the torso so you're not dumping, So just stretch through those fingertips to the right corner of the room. Keeping those shoulders down, and take that left shoulder and bring it back so you open your chest up a little bit more. Inhale, both arms back to center. Release your left hand down, reach your right arm up and over your head. You can bring your eye gaze all the way up. Feel the stretch all the way from your right fingertips, all the way down your lats to your right hip. Inhale, both arms back to center. And release your arms down by your side. Come into a tabletop position. Bring your big toes together to touch and sit down into child's pose. Extend your arms out in front of you. And just let your glutes fall on the top of your heels, let your forehead rest onto the mat. And you can find a passive pose here or an active pose. So what does that mean? Passive means you just really release your muscles and find it more restorative. If you want to activate your shoulder muscles a little bit, you could spread your fingers out wide, grip the mat a little bit, press into the mat, and you'll feel your shoulders activate. Really filling up, noticing each inhale and each exhale breath. On an inhale, press into your hands as if you're coming up to a tabletop, and then dip your hips down slightly. Still want to be in a straight line. And open your chest to the front of the room. So a modified upward facing dog. And pressing into the mat, reversing, rounding the spine, coming back into child's pose. And it could be a 3-part breath or 1 breath to 1 movement. So pressing into your hands, rounding the spine, then dipping the hips, Shoulders down away from the ears and opening the chest as your chin is parallel to the floor, or maybe a little bit up more, but you don't want to crunch the back of the neck. Press into the mat, round the spine, bring your belly up and in, and then bring your glutes to tops of your heels, extend your arms back to child's pose. So this is a great warm-up. Rounding the spine, and then opening the heart space, so they're both counteractions. Once you feel all warmed up, maybe one more of each, we'll meet in tabletop position. Place your left hand in line with your heart, somewhere in the middle on your mat. And on an inhale, reach your right arm all the way up to the ceiling. Look at your right thumb. Inhale, really lengthen through the right fingertips, and on an exhale, thread the needle. Send your right arm through towards the left, placing your right shoulder down on the mat. Send your hips towards the right. So this way you're opening up your shoulder blade a little bit more. You can wrap your left arm around and place your fingers in the right hip crease. Or you can place your left hand by your face or out in front of you like downward facing dog. And this pose can also be active or passive. So you can press your right shoulder into the mat and press towards the right of the room energetically, like pulling towards the right, pulling your shoulder to the right, but not really, just into the mat and down. That could activate your shoulder muscles, or you could just release down, just release your muscles and just open it naturally using the weight of your torso. Place your left hand by your face, inhale the right arm all the way back up to the ceiling, and release your right hand down in front of you, swapping out the right for the left, or the left for the right for the left. And on an inhale, reach the left arm all the way up to the ceiling, opening up the heart space to the left. Reach through those fingertips, lengthen, and on an exhale, thread the needle. Send your left shoulder down on the mat with your palm facing up as you send your left arm to the right. Send your hips now to the left. You'll feel more opening in the left shoulder blade. Place your right hand by your face. Or if you went for a bind, you can wrap it around the backside body. Or if you went for a downward facing dog upper body arm, place it out in front of you, fingers spread out wide always. And you can even always work through the passive and restorative feel with any pose. So if you want to, for a few seconds, activate that shoulder muscle by pressing it into the mat and pulling to the left, you can. And then you could go ahead and release for a few seconds. So it's always good to just try and challenge and just explore. Place your right hand to frame the face. Inhale the left arm all the way up to the ceiling to reset the spine. And release the left arm down to meet your right. Tuck your toes beneath you. Press into your mat, round the spine, puff up the space in between your shoulder blades. Make sure your shoulders stack over the wrists and your hips are right over your knees. And on an exhale, just lift the hips, the knees slightly off the mat, about an inch. So pressing into the toes, pressing into the fingers, and lift your knees up. You're not lifting anything else. You're really just crunching those abs here. Hold it. On an exhale, extend the right leg behind you, stacking heel over toes. And then one more, extend the left leg, heels right over toes. On an inhale, shift your weight forward, come onto the tips of your toes, shoulders come past the wrist creases, and then lower your knees down. On an exhale, chaturanga, come all the way down, bending at the elbows, and lowering down all the way to your belly. Untuck the toes, and we'll go into baby cobra here. Place your thumb in the middle of your chest, your forehead or your chin down on the mat, and on an inhale, well, before we do that, just remember to always activate your lower body as you lift your upper body. So just because we're only lifting our chest here doesn't mean you have to leave the lower half of your body loosened. So on your next inhale, lift your chest up, little or no weight into those hands, using the backside body to really activate those back muscles. Keep the chest lifted, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the legs together, and lower the forehead down on an exhale. Inhale, open the chest to the front of the room, little or no weight to the hands. You could even try lifting those hands up and lower your forehead down on an exhale. This time, press into your hands. On an inhale, extend your arms, cobra. Open your heart space, leaving your hips down on the mat. You're only opening your chest. You can walk your hands a little bit more away from you to lessen the deepness of the stretch. Lower your forehead down to the mat. Press back up into tabletop. Stacking shoulders over wrists, hips right over knees. Tuck the toes beneath you. And on an exhale, lift the hips up and back, extend the legs, the first downward facing dog. Press away from your hands, strive to bring your belly on top of your thighs. This time your shoulders won't stack over your wrists clearly, because you really want to just press that belly on top of your thighs, press away from your hands. Wrap those triceps down by screwing your hands into the mat as if you were screwing on top of a jar. Try and keep those heels down on your mat. Your feet should be around hip width distance apart. Keep that belly all the way hollow, up and in. And if you have tight hamstrings, tight lower back, you can bend the knees deeply. You can walk up the dog by lifting one heel, lifting the other heel, working in the arches, the Achilles, the calf muscles. Get them working. Feet even work into the hips. Any organic movement here. Rocking your hips side to side. Just letting your head and neck just really hang heavy. Don't strive to look in any direction and strain your neck here. Listen carefully. On an inhale, come onto your tippy toes, lifting your heels all the way up, and shift your weight forward so you come into plank, coming into one line, stacking shoulders over wrists, heels over toes. That's how you know you're in proper downward facing dog positioning. So we'll try that again. This time, press away from the mat, come back into your downward facing dog. And go through at your own pace here, and you can follow along with me. Inhale, shift your weight forward, stack your shoulders over your wrists, heels right over your toes. Press away from the mat, downward facing dog. So you may have to bring your feet in, bring your feet out, until you don't have to adjust anymore. This way, inner sun A sequences, they all flow, and you look more fluid, like a wave. So you see, as you come into downward facing dog, and then you come back into plank, you'll notice when you press into your hands, you puff up the space in between your shoulder blades like cat. That's how you know you're flowing like a wave. You always want to puff up that space. Bring that belly up and in. Squeeze those legs together, those glutes. Take one more and come into downward facing dog. Lift your heels and take baby steps all the way to your hands. Really tighten that belly, straighten those legs, keep those hips lifted. As you get to your hands, come into a forward fold of choice, either ragdoll or gorilla pose. Ragdoll, you separate your feet around hip width distance apart or wider. You grab either elbows and really let your head and neck hang heavy. Let your belly fall on top of your thighs. You can make it more rhythmic. If you like to dance, if that resonates with you, you can straighten one leg and then bend the other, vice versa. Or if you want to find more stillness, more meditation, then just stay still. Bear more weight in your toes and you'll feel more opening in the hamstrings here. And over time, you can work to straighten the legs. If you want gorilla pose, I'll do that real fast. Your feet around hip width distance apart. And you tuck your hands right under your feet so that your toes meet your wrist crease. This way you're not putting any weight in your actual hand. And then you press into your toes and open up the back side of your legs. So those are two options for you. They're very restorative, very necessary, especially in between poses. And you could do this throughout the day too. Heel toe your feet together, release your hands. Bring a slight bend into your knee and slowly rise up, ground through the feet, let your head, arms, and neck hang heavy, and slowly rise up one vertebrae at a time until your chin is parallel to the floor. Tadasana, mother of all poses here. So if you know Tadasana, that should be the first step of knowing yoga. So bear all weight in all four corners of your feet. If you're not sure what that means, lift all 10 toes off and then slowly lower each toe. This way you find your center. You'll have a little bit of a suction cup by your arch. Bring your tailbone down, squeeze your legs together, belly up and in. Roll your shoulders back and away from your ears. Your chest comes out slightly. You don't want to bend your back in any way, but just enough so you're in proper alignment. Really imagine there's a string on top of your head. Someone's pulling it and lengthening your spine all the way up. Tadasana. Palms come face forward towards the wall in front of you. Inhale, reach your arms up and over your head. Look at your fingertips. Extended mountain pose. On an exhale, we'll forward fold. Hinge at the hips. Lead with the chest with a flat spine all the way down till your belly comes on top of your thighs. You can bring a slight bend in your knees. Release your hands. Let your head and neck hang heavy here in your forward fold with your feet together. On an inhale, bring your hands to your shins. Come up halfway. Lengthen your spine forward and keep your eye gaze straight down so that your neck is just as long. On an exhale, plant your hands down and step into plank. Keep your heels stacked over your toes. If this is too much, you can just come onto your knees. If not, just go ahead and try plank today. Inhale, shift your shoulders past the wrist creases. Come onto the tips of your toes, then bring your knees down. That's very helpful. And lower down all the way if you came onto your knees. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Cobra, extending the arms, upward facing dog. Your hands are more by your hips here. Hug the elbows in and your hips are lifted. That's the only difference. So whatever resonates with you, this is more of a deeper stretch in your back. Tuck the toes, press into your hands, lift up and back, come into your downward facing dog. That's the start of Sun A. We'll do that one more together a little bit faster. Inhale, come onto your toes, bend your knees. Exhale, step or hop to the front of your mat. Inhale, hands to shins, halfway lift, coming up halfway, belly up and in, weight in the toes. Exhale, forward fold, hinge at the hips, flat spine, belly to your thighs. Inhale, root to rise, press through the feet. Work through the fingertips, look at your fingers. One more, exhale, forward fold, flat spine on the way down, working through our Sun A's, releasing our hands, bring our nose to your knees. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins, come up halfway. Exhale, plant your hands down, step into plank. Press into your fingertips, pump up the space in between your shoulder blades. Inhale, shift your weight forward, come onto the tips of your toes. Exhale, lower down, either halfway if you're on full plank, or all the way down if you are on your knees. Flip the toes under and open your chest to the front of the room, upward facing dog or cobra. Tuck the toes, bring your hips up and back, downward facing dog. So that's the beginning of Sun A. Inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees. Exhale, step or hop to the front of the mat. Inhale, hands to shins, come up halfway, lengthen the spine forward. Exhale, forward fold, hinge at the hips, bring your belly to your thighs, release everything down. Inhale, root to rise, reach through those fingertips, look at your fingertips, extended mountain pose. This time, sit your hips down and back for chair pose. Separate your hands, bring your pinkies in towards each other to activate the arm muscles. Bring your tailbone down, sit a little bit deeper, open your chest. This time you can open your chest a little bit more. Make sure you still see your big toes. If that's not available to you, you've got to make sure you sit back into your glute muscles. Sit back into your heels a little bit more. Bring that belly up and in. On an exhale, slightly straighten the legs. Forward fold, flat spine on the way down. Inhale, hands to shins, come up halfway for your halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands down. Step into your plank, move through your flow. Either bringing your knees down or inhale, shift your weight forward. Bringing your knees down. Exhale, lower all the way down or halfway if you are more advanced. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, press into your hands, downward facing dog. We're almost done with our Sun B section this time. This time, reach your right leg all the way up. Really press energy through the right heel as if you're gonna step onto the wall behind you. Bring that right heel up a little bit more. Feel the activation of the right under glute. On an exhale, step in between your hands for warrior one. Seal the left heel down. Angle the left toes at the top left corner of your mat. And once you ground your feet first, inhale your arms up overhead. Make sure your hips are in one line. So right now my hips are not really in one line. So what do I have to do here? I have to send my right hip back, left hip point forward. This way, now when I look at myself in the mirror, if that's accessible to you, it's really helpful. But if not, it's actually better to do it without a mirror, because this way you feel it in your body and you're not relying on a mirror. But it'll help you. You can even look down and bring your hands to your hips, that it's in one line. Inhale your arms up overhead. And on an exhale, plant your hands to frame the right foot, step into plank and move through your flow. Inhale, shift your weight forward, bring the knees down, coming down all the way. This is modification for chaturanga. Upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. We'll finish our sun B, lifting our left leg now, flex the toes towards your face. And on an exhale, warrior one, send your left foot in between your hands. Seal the right heel down, keep the right leg straight, left knee bent. Angle the right toes at the top right corner of your mat. Inhale your arms up overhead, belly up and in. Reach through those fingertips. Send your left hip point back, right hip point forward. Take one more inhale. Exhale, plant your hands down, step into plank and move through your flow. Inhale, shift your weight forward. Bring your knees down if you want to modify. Lower down all the way or halfway. Open your heart space through cobra or upward facing dog on an inhale. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. And that was sun B, everybody. Inhale, lift the right leg up, flex the toes towards the face. On an exhale, plant your foot in between your hands. Stay lifted on the back heel. We'll come into crescent lunge here. I only introduced it a few times, so listen carefully. If you want, you can bring your left knee down and come into a low lunge for those who need more modifications. If you want to go ahead and try, stay lifted on those toes. Press through the right glute, bear even weight in the left toes and the right foot. And inhale your arms up overhead. You could place your hands at heart center if that's easier. But it's the same aspect. Right hip back, left hip point forward. Hips are in one line. Your pelvis is neutral. So if you have to, bend your left knee, bring the tailbone down, and work to straighten the leg. It may not always go as straight, but as long as you're keeping your pelvis neutral, that's most important. Belly up and in. Inhale your arms up overhead. This time we'll peel open warrior two. So peel open to the left. Look how my foot just pivots back. And now it's in warrior two alignment. With warrior one and warrior two, you have to spread your feet out more. You have to make your foot into more of one line. So it's just easier to go from crescent lunge to warrior two, because it ensures that you have position with your feet. So if I were to draw a line from your right heel to your left foot, it should intersect at the right arch. Keep your shoulders over your hips. Keep that left hip point down. You don't want to hike it up. Spread your arms opposite in equal directions and then bring your chin by your right shoulder. Warrior two. Really work through those arms. Energetically draw those heels together. On an inhale, flip the front palm, reach the right arm up and over, peaceful warrior or a reverse warrior. Sit your hips a little bit more down. Make sure you breathe in even lengths of your torso here. And avoid any dumping to the left. A lot of people I see just come all the way back. You don't want to crunch this side. You want to lift up, bring that hip down, and then move. Work through the abs. Cartwheel the hands down on an exhale to frame the right foot and move through your flow. Step back into plank. Inhale, shift your weight forward. Bring your knees down. Bend your elbows close to your body. Come down all the way on your belly. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Tuck the toes, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the left leg up, flex the toes towards the face. Exhale, plant your foot in between your hands, crescent lunge. Stay high in the back on the right toes, so keep your heel off the mat. Inhale your arms up overhead if that feels good. If not, bring your knee down and then work to straighten the leg and lift up and see how that works out for you. Find your balance. Send that left hip point back, right hip point forward. Your feet shouldn't be in one line either here, so you want to make sure you're bearing even weight in both feet and also staggered a little bit so you're not in one line and really trying to balance. You're going to pull up through your belly and use the muscles of your legs and your whole body to keep you grounded. On an exhale, peel open to the right, warrior two, just pivot the back foot. Make sure the left heel intersects the right arch. Keep that right hip point down. Stack your shoulders over your hips, bring that belly up and in. And make sure you see those left toes. If you don't see them, I didn't see my left toes just now. Send that left knee towards the back wall to open up the left hip flexor a little bit more. Spread your arms opposite in equal directions, chin by your left shoulder. Flip the front palm, inhale, peaceful warrior. Reach your left arm up and over your head. Place your right hand gently behind the right thigh. As long as you're not putting any weight in that right hand. Pull up through the waist. Exhale, carve the hands down to frame the left foot. Step back into plank and move through your flow. Inhale, shift your weight forward. Bring your knees down and lower down all the way. Inhale, press into your mat, upward facing dog or cobra. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees. Exhale, step or hop to the front of your mat. Inhale, hands to shins, come up halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise, arms sweep up all the way overhead. Extended mountain pose, look at your fingertips. Listen carefully. On an exhale, start to bring your eye gaze towards the wall behind you. Squeeze your glutes, send your hip points forward. And open your heart space for a heart opener here. You can even goalpost your arms so that your elbows are sending to the front of the room. Breathe here. Lengthen the back of your neck. Inhale both arms back to center and release your arms down by your sides. We'll come into one standing balance today just to find some meditation and grounding for our practice. I want to work into Churi. I know it's been a few weeks since we did that one. So go ahead, grab your right foot with your whichever hand. Just make sure you ground through that left foot. Lift up your right foot, place it on the inner upper thigh or on your shin. So whatever feels good for you. Pressing into your shin or your thigh and having your leg press into your foot is going to find that nice stability there. So think about it. If you press your palms together and actually push into each other, it feels more stable. So that's exactly what it's doing here. Make sure your hips are in one line. So one hip shouldn't be up here and the other should be down here. It shouldn't be like that. It should be in one line as best you can. Use that belly. Bring that mind to muscle connection here. You can bring your hands to heart center, or you can grow your tree. And then you can move your tree in the wind. You could play with your balance a little bit more. Finding one point of focus, really lengthen and lift up through the spine. It will help you stay grounded. Release your foot down. You can shake it out. Do a little dance. Bear more weight in that right foot. Now go ahead, change directions. Place that left foot on the upper right thigh or your shin. And place your hands in palm, heart center or grow your tree. But if you don't find your balance soon enough or quick enough, not a big deal. Look, I'm having a hard time today too. So, you know, it's not all or nothing. It's not cookie cutter day. Every day is different. Our bodies feel different in every day of the week based on our energy levels, how our body feels, our joints. I even said in another video, you know, with the weather, you know, your joints get a little bit more tight. So this is a perfect day to do yoga, right? So release your left leg down. Very good. Come up to the top of your mat, bring your feet together. Inhale your arms up overhead. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Just nice breath, one more. Inhale your arms up and over your head. Stretch through the fingertips, belly up and in. Exhale, bend your elbows, bring your hands to heart center. Separate your feet out wide, bring your heels in and your toes off the mat, so heels on. Bend your knees, bring your glutes down to the mat, bring your elbows on the inside of your thighs, press into your thighs, opening your heart space. So press your elbows into your legs, legs into your elbows, opening your heart space. Don't hunch here, really open up. Find stillness, close your eyes, and really just focus on those dedications, your presence, the sensations, your breath, sending air to all those tense areas. You can move around side to side. Take one more breath. And release. Place your hands down behind you. Come onto your glutes. Extend your legs out in front of you. Extend your arms out in front of you and slowly lower down. One vertebrae at a time. You can really activate those ab muscles. By going really slow, crunching those abs as you round the spine slightly. Inhale your arms up and over your head for a full body stretch. Stretching through the tips of the fingers to the tips of the toes. On an exhale, hug your knees into your chest. Come to a tight little ball. Interlace your fingers behind the right knee. Extend the left leg down on your mat. We'll work into the right hip flexor. Flex the left toes to keep your left shin grounded, your calf grounded. Pull that right knee towards that right armpit, avoiding the rib cage. Using the arm muscles to really pull that right knee. Elbows tight in, close your body. One more inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Supine twist, then that right knee across your body towards the left. Extend your right arm towards the right with your palm facing up. Keep both shoulders on the mat. If one starts to lift up, ease the pose. So come out of the pose a little bit more. Lessen the stretch. Eye gaze at that right thumb. With each inhale, really lengthen through the crown of your head to the wall behind you. And with each exhale, you can twist a little bit deeper. You can even place your left hand gently on top of your right thigh. Hug your right knee back into your chest and release your right leg down. Interlace your fingers behind the left knee. Now sending your left knee towards the left armpit. Now feeling the flexion and the stretch in the left side of your hip. Even your inner thighs. This is the best stretch if you have sore legs. Anywhere, honestly. On your next exhale, send that left knee across your body, stacking your hips. Supine twist. Extend your left arm to the left of you with your palm facing up. Eye gaze at the left thumb. Make sure both shoulder blades are down on the mat. If not, lessen the pose. Slowing down your breath. Hug the left knee back into your body. Keep it one more last tight squeeze and release it down. Extend your legs out and towards the ceiling for legs up against the imaginary wall. If you have a wall in your place, whether your house, your apartment, wherever you're at, you could place your, you guys are going to be laughing at me, whoever's watching this. Bring your glutes towards the wall. Extend your legs on the wall. Flex the toes towards your face. So this is really restorative. You could try this on your own time, or you could try it now. Trying to keep your entire spine down on the mat. If this isn't available to you, it's just going to be a little bit more active. I mean, it still can be passive with your legs in the air, but this is how you can really relax your muscles. If not, it's really restorative to just lift your legs and just do it naturally. So flex the toes towards your face. And also, if you have a little pillow, you can place it on your lower back area or your tailbone. And this way it lifts you up a little bit so your hips are higher than your heart. So this is a really good inversion. There's many benefits to it. So that's the purpose. So towards the end of practice, we invite inversions. So that's, we could do plow pose. That's bringing your hands by your glutes, and that's lifting you up, and then you bring your feet over your head. So there's so many different ways, but that's more advanced. So even if you want to try and lift your hips all the way up to the sky, placing your elbows down, tightening those glutes. So we'll work into that at a later date. Bend your knees, come out wide, come into happy baby for our last pose. Press your feet into your hands, hands into your feet. Feel that compression through your legs, your hip flexors. You can work to straighten the leg, both legs. You can even rock side to side. Work into that spine. When you're ready, release your legs all the way down for your last pose of class, corpse pose or savasana. Just one straight line from your head to your toes, relaxing your entire body and taking as much or as little space as you want. Palms facing up for receiving good energy, receiving from others. Palms facing down for more grounding, being more in tune with ourselves. Start to feel every inch of your body get a little bit heavier, feeling a little bit more soft. Noticing breath slowing down even a little bit more. Closing your eyes, starting to soften every inch of your face, from the corners of your eyes to the space in between your eyebrows. Let your cheeks feel loose. Release tension in the jaw by slightly parting the mouth and letting the tongue float in the hollow of the mouth. Take the next few minutes of silence for yourselves without my interjection to fully surrender your mind, body, and spirit to be in the present moment. Find full meditation and surrender. Start to bring movement back into the body. Wiggle toes, wiggle fingers. Rock your head side to side, rolling the wrists and the ankles, inviting in some movement. On an inhale, reach your arms up and over your head for a full body stretch. And And on an exhale, hug your knees into your chest, come into a tight little ball, grasp either elbows. Rock over to one side, giving yourself this nice tight hug. And when you're ready, come up to a comfortable seat, sitting up tall, bringing your palms together, heart space to feel your heartbeat, and bowing in. Taking this short moment to give love, light to all of our dedications and intentions today. I'd like to thank you all for joining me and giving yourself the opportunity for yourselves to give you attention in this crazy world and pay attention to your mind, body, spirit, and breath. And I hope that you take the beauty of yoga with you day to day. Namaste. Thanks again for joining, and I will see you next week. Stay safe, stay dry, and I'll see you later.